Hello, Animal Messages with Julie. Okay, well, it's fall. It's starting to get a little dark, as you can see. And yes, I'm in a different place again. Um, so today's topic is the quiet game. So, as you know, it's the week in review. Oh, I don't have any of my posters here. So, for those of you just tuning in, I'm an animal communicator and empath. I feel in my body what the animal feels. I hear them in English, Spanish, and German, thanks to a hit on the head a few years ago. And then the dog and I talk. So they choose different behaviors. I work in tandem with trainers and vets. All right. What's behind me is the peaceful pet tree. So when trauma is cleared, if they pass over, they drop their body, their name goes on the tree. All right, so we have on this YouTube channel, Fifth Dimension Ease, we have talks about the grief, about dropping their body, about increasing their immunity, etc. So we do my week in review. So this week I was with Agnes and Esther. They're little Havanese dogs. If you don't know what a Havanese is, I'm going to hold this up. They're about, she's 11 pounds. They have a longer back, and sometimes you see them with long hair with barrettes on their forehead. This one has her summer cut, so she doesn't have super long hair. Okay, and if you ask her, she says, I'm a person. Esther's a dog. Well, they're both in dog bodies. Agnes and Esther's both in dog bodies. So we're going to talk about this quiet game that we did, okay? So Agnes barks really shrill. And again, it's humid where I am, hot and muggy. So my eyeglasses are plastic and they keep sliding down. So we're going to keep pushing them up through the show. All right. So Agnes goes, it just goes through your body and her whole body jumps because it's with such force. Now I asked her what makes her do that, right? She says, well, it works. So when somebody comes to the door, that's what she does. When she's on a walk, that's what she does. And it sends a person viscerally backwards. You're like, oh my God, because she seems like she's being fierce. And what she seems to want is to be touched right on her head and right behind her back, which is like the opposite of what a person wants to do when they hear that sound, right? And her body's jumping back. But at some point, possibly when she was a puppy at the breeders, don't know, at some point this worked and it got her pet. So now she does it. And her owner says, oh, she wants to be pet. So a company comes over and she does that. They're like, oh, just pet her. It'll be okay. Well, when you move to a new neighborhood and you're walking the dog and that neighborhood's not used to it, right? So we played the quiet game, which is if you're quiet, I touch you. All right. So every time she would do like that, I literally turn my back on her and get turned around here. I'm just like this. She's going inside the house, right? As soon as she's quiet, I turn back around. I go, if you're quiet, I touch you. If you're quiet, I touch you. And actually, she would run away from me around the kitchen island, but I would say it the whole time. And then I would touch her. And as soon as she would start going, again, boop, flip that body around. And just wait for her until that silence comes. Silence and a beat and turn around, go like, if you're quiet, I'll touch you. If you're quiet, I'll touch you. And I think after about 20 minutes, she got it. She just got tired. And then when we were outside, just laying in the grass, they're secure, they're on their leashes, but we're just laying in the grass. And it's a community where the houses are closer together, right? So there was a man doing landscaping across the street. And again, we get the, and I said, oh, that's a man making mud. That's his job, is to make mud, because one of the lawns was all mud and one of the lawns had some grass, right? It's a new community. And I'm like, thank you for telling us. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for telling me, Agnes. Thank you. And then she would slow down, that would come and stop. And we went through this about 5 times, because as the man who was doing the landscape would go to the backyard, then he'd go to the side yard, then he'd reappear on the part that we could see him, right? And then boop, it'd start again. So, I don't know your dog. There's different reasons that they bark, but Agnes seemed to want to point that out. Man, there's a man, there's a man, there's a man, there's a man, and and in the house, it's like, touch me, touch me, touch me. Okay. So, but we have to shift that behavior, which means we did the quiet game. So I asked the owners for the next week when I visit, I said, well, are there any games you would like me to play? Create, as long as I'm there with her in your house. And again, I'm not a trainer, I'm a dog sitter and an animal communicator. So that's why I'm at their house. I'm with their dog when they're gone. But I use the animal communication, trauma clearing, etc., all my capacities to work with them when I'm dog sitting. Okay. So, and they said, well, the quiet game would be good. So we will work on the quiet game again. Let's see if we have a picture of Esther. Esther, she was on my lap and she's a puppy. So it's not a good picture. It just shows it could be a fur cap for all we know. So I'm just scrolling through here. Woo, woo, woo. Woo, woo, woo. Come on, there's Esther. Oop. There's Esther. And there she is. She's a brunette. So there's a blonde and a brunette in the house. So she's actually on my lap there, sleeping. And then I'm looking into this harness. I'm a big fan of this harness. I'm going to test it out on my buddy Conrad, who's got a 26-inch chest. Looks like a toy breed, but he's not. So this is a European company, and this is what Esther and Agnes had. And it goes over the neck, which I know sounds weird. So it's easy on, right? It doesn't involve the legs. You don't have to put the legs into a hole like with the things that I buy at PetSmart. And the strap that you're seeing that has a clip. Let me see. Where's my finger? Where's my finger? Okay, right there. Okay, that clips really close to the top, so you're not having to like go underneath their leg. It's almost at the shoulder on the dog, and that strap goes around the chest of the dog. So I'll bend over like a dog. So here's the strap, right? So it pulls the stuff that's around the neck, it pulls it away from the neck. See here, here's the neck. It pulls it away from the neck. Now go back here. That was an interesting demonstration. So I don't have one myself. I've made a deal with Conrad. I'm in an art show. This art is co-created with the animals, not an art show, a festival. So I have a booth. If you're in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, USA, on Saturday or Sunday, stop by the Wine and Harvest Festival. I have a booth. We can talk about the dogs there too, although the booth is for the art. That's why they granted me a booth. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, anyway, Conrad and I have a deal. When the money reaches a certain amount, then Conrad will get one of these harnesses, and I already have it with his name on it. So where you saw Julius K-9, that is where the animal's name can go. So if you have multiple dogs, it's great. It was developed for police dogs in Europe. And then as they shrunk it down for smaller dogs, they adjusted it to meet the smaller dog's needs. So it's not just a shrunken version. Okay. And it seems to be easy on, easy off, doesn't involve the legs. The animals, small animals are controllable. And I want to test it out on Conrad, who's got some sort of bulldog in him. He's got a 27-inch chest and like a 10-inch neck. And then I'll get back to you about those. But those are potentially my favorite. And yes, they cost more than what's at PetSmart. But for my animals, I don't care. If my animal's comfortable, I don't like when the straps are going underneath their front legs. It can rub. Like it just seems to bother me. Like I wouldn't want a strap that tight, like by those lymph nodes. So and some dogs wear it 24/7 if they like my Chico wore it the last 6 months of his life because he couldn't be picked up anymore. It hurt him and he would nip. So it just stayed on because he needed to be controlled. We didn't want to run. I didn't want him running in the street or biting anyone. And then there's when you're elderly, sometimes you cannot pick up your animal to put a harness on, off, on, off. So it just stays on also. So I don't like the ones that where the straps go underneath their front legs right here. I just, yeah. So I really, this may be my new favorite. So if you want to test it out, let me know. Somewhere in the description, there'll be the link that goes to the website, and then you can email me, right? If you're a dog breeder, there's coupons for you to put in your puppy package that I'm happy to give to you. And your puppies are perfect. Yes, you've put a lot of time into them. Guess what? They get into a different home that's not the same as your place. So they need the bridge between the human and the dog world, which is me and people like me. And there's a few of us around, not enough of us. So there's a licensing association, but there's a few of us around. So there was one purebred. He didn't like the way the grass felt on his paws. He had moved 5-6 states away when he came from the breeder. And the grass where he grew up, was different than the grass in the new state. And it was, the humidity was different. And he didn't like how it felt. So he wouldn't go outside. So we had to come up with something. Would you rather go on the cement? Does that feel better? Do we need to put down the plastic IKEA tiles and you'll go on those and then we'll wash it down with a hose? I mean, we'll come up with something because it really freaked him out. It freaked his paws. It really freaked him out. We was like, when he, those first 2-3 months he was at his new home. So some of this stuff, it's not the dog breeder or their home isn't perfect or the dog isn't perfect. It's just like any of us. We move across state lines or when we move to a different building, things are different. And sometimes those differences irritate us. And then that's when I come in, the dog tells me the irritation, and then we work out a solution between me and the dog and the human, right? That works for everybody. So the dog doesn't get returned to the breeder, or the dog doesn't get punished or admonished or, things like that. Okay, what else was I going to talk about? So we have that. So our Labradoodles are on their way. Patrick's Labradoodles are somewhere between Montana and Wisconsin in the US. They spent the week, these Labradoodles, Cassidy and Farley. Farley's a party animal in Glacier National Park. Lucky dogs, right? So they're traveling back by vehicle right now, and I'm looking forward to hearing from Patrick about the hotels. They stayed in hotels, about the pet friendly hotels. It's one thing to see online, oh, they're pet friendly, right? It's another to go to the hotel and experience it. Do they understand pets? Or do they have treats like right at the checkout so dogs can start fighting? Like, that's a nice thing to like hand over if it's okay, but I don't know if you want to have a bowl like just sitting out. But there's other things like, what building are you in? Do you have to climb the stairs, or is it first level? How much area is there for the dog to do its business? Are there bags, poop waste bags at the hotel? Or because that's a nice convenience, because you're traveling, and hopefully you have enough, but sometimes you run out because things happen in life, and you're like, oh my God, you know. Is there water outside? So as soon as you get to the hotel, the dog can take a drink of water. Um, as the beds, things like this. I mean, I'm interested in hearing his experiences, and if there's any particular hotel in the region of Montana that he would suggest if you're taking your dogs to Glacier National Park, which on the Canadian side, hello Alberta, is Alberta. It's called Waterton, not Watertown, Waterton Park. I might have something with Canada in it. So International Peace Park. Oh, I don't know which side it's on. Is it the Canadian side or the US side? I forget what side, but they created that park kind of like for the flow back and forth. But now, as I make this video, it's COVID. It still is COVID. It's been for a few years. So Canada has certain requirements to get in. And I don't know if Patrick even tried to get in. I read in the Canadian government website that you needed 2 different proofs of 2 different COVID vaccines that you had received. So they mentioned Pfizer, they mentioned Johnson and Johnson, other ones also too that they accept. So you either have to have the paper document or some official electronic document. But then again, when you're dealing with the wilderness, like, are there points where they like stop you and be like, you can't go any further unless you show me your passport and your 2 COVID vaccination documents? I don't know. I don't know if Patrick tried or not. So it'll be interesting to find out, hopefully next week. I don't know. We never know what's going to happen week to week. I'm going to see Agnes and Esther again on Monday, or at least that's what's planned. We never know, right? Okay. All right. So I didn't see anybody coming in. That's cool. All right. Landing. Let me know if you want a bridge between your dog and you, or your cat and you, okay? I love all your animals. I'll see you next week.